movie opens on a basketball court, where the sharp blast of a referee's whistle echoes through the arena. The scoreboard shows the Stalkers leading by 4 points, while the Wolves haven't scored yet. Only 44 seconds remain. During a timeout, the coach gathers his players and tells them to stay calm and not panic. He instructs Dean to hold onto the ball and get it to Horse, and he looks Horse straight in the eye, making it clear that this shot has to go in no matter what. The game resumes, and somehow the Wolves manage to score 2 points. The entire stadium erupts, fans screaming like crazy. Horse even flashes a quick smile toward the crowd, but then something strange catches his eye, a dark shadow lurking behind the cheering fans. He freezes for a moment, shaken, but quickly pulls himself together and refocuses on the game. The seconds are ticking down fast. Dean makes the final pass to Horse. Horse launches the ball into the air, and it sails cleanly toward the hoop, but just then, he sees that same shadow rushing straight toward him. The ball drops through the basket, and the stadium explodes in celebration. Horse doesn't stop. Without looking at anyone, he sprints straight to the locker room. His hands trembling, he opens his locker. The fear is so intense that goosebumps cover his entire body. He pulls something out and throws it onto the floor, and as the shadow closes in, he smashes it with all his strength using a heavy weight. Gasping for breath, he mutters that it's finally over, that he just wants to be left alone. Hesitantly, he looks toward the door. It opens, but instead of the shadow, it's his teammates. A wave of relief washes over him, and soon everyone is celebrating the victory together. The scene then shifts to the shower room, where Horse is trying to calm himself down under the running water. From outside, Dean's voice calls out jokingly, asking if he plans to stay in there forever. But suddenly, Horse senses that something is very wrong. Thick black smoke begins to rise from the drain. Before he can even process what's happening, a burning, terrifying figure emerges from it. It grabs Horse by the throat, and in an instant, he starts burning from the inside out. Horse screams in agony, and within moments, he's engulfed in flames. His friends, standing just outside, are helpless. They can only watch as their friend burns alive right in front of them. After this horrifying moment, the story abruptly shifts into a normal setting. We meet Krish in her room, holding a pencil as she sketches a bird perched on a tree. Suddenly, she drifts off, her gaze going blank as she stares down at the floor. Just then, Ree enters through the door carrying breakfast. He cheerfully mentions how happy he is to be helping her pack her things, and soon after, the two of them head out for her new school. As Krish steps into the school hallways, she feels like everyone is staring at her. Ralph tells her about a girl named Grace. Krish assumes that Grace might like her, but at the same time, she says she doesn't want to draw any attention to herself. Things get even more complicated when she's assigned Mason's old locker. A group of students suddenly blocks Krish's path and tells her she can't use that locker because it belonged to their friend. Just then, Grace steps in and casually asks about Ralph. The moment his name is mentioned, the kids standing there start mocking Ralph, turning the situation ugly. Sensing things getting out of hand, Ellie steps forward and shuts everyone down, putting an end to their cheap remarks. Meanwhile, Dean finds the whole situation amusing and starts laughing, but Krish finally loses her patience and lashes out, delivering a hard kick straight at him. Right then, Mr. Craven arrives and brings everyone under control. Dean immediately complains about Krish, but Ellie stands up in her defense. Still, Craven doesn't listen to anyone and hands out detention to all of them. Ellie tries to apologize on behalf of everyone, but Krish coldly refuses, making it clear she doesn't need her help or any favors. Later, when Krish returns to her locker, she finds something strange inside, a small container that looks like a decorative pot. Curious, she opens it and sees what appears to be a skull, but upon closer inspection, she realizes it's actually a whistle. The moment she picks it up, eerie sounds begin to come from it. She's just about to blow the whistle when suddenly the school bell rings, stopping her in her tracks. Krish arrives late to Craven's class, and the same whistle slips out of her bag, falling onto the floor. Mr. Craven picks it up, examining it closely, as he remarks that it's a very strange object. The entire class gathers around, curious as they all take a closer look. That's when someone notices a word engraved on it, Pisgah. Craven immediately declares that the whistle now belongs to the school, meaning it will stay with him. Later, Eddie suggests that everyone should meet up. Outside the school, Ralph and Krish are talking when Ralph suddenly remembers he left his book in the classroom and rushes back to get it. Meanwhile, inside, Mr. Craven is already searching for information about the whistle on his laptop. When he sees the price listed on the screen, his eyes widen in shock. It's worth thousands of dollars. Before deciding to sell it, he figures he should test if it actually works. The moment he blows the whistle, a nearby glass shatters instantly. Startled, he quickly heads toward the restroom, and just then, Ralph walks into the now empty classroom. Spotting the price of the whistle on the laptop screen, Ralph makes a quick decision and slips it into his pocket. Outside, Krish runs into Noah, who introduces himself as a priest. He invites her to visit the church and talks about learning more about God. But as the conversation continues, he starts getting uncomfortably close and even tries to drug her. Just then, Ralph steps in, interrupting the situation. But Noah easily overpowers him and nearly beats him down before finally backing off and leaving with a threat. After Noah is gone, Ralph tells Krish the truth. Parents in the town see Noah as a role model and send their kids to his church, but in reality, he's been selling them drugs. And because of him, 2 kids have already lost their lives. That same evening, everyone gathers at someone's house to work on their essays, and that's when Ralph reveals the stolen whistle to the group. From the balcony, Grace's brother quietly watches everything unfold. Suddenly, Grace suggests an idea. Why not play a game that can bring back the dead? Hearing this, everyone gets excited. Krish tries to leave and head home, but Ellie stops her, urging her to relax and have some fun. Even then, Krish is about to walk out when Grace suddenly lifts the whistle to her lips and blows it. A sharp, ear-piercing sound echoes throughout the room. Dean suddenly goes silent because beyond the noise, he hears something else, like footsteps slowly getting closer. Meanwhile, back at the school, Mr. Craven realizes the whistle is missing and starts searching for it. The janitor, Charlie, is busy doing his rounds when Craven calls out to him. That very moment, Craven notices a strange figure standing still in the hallway, completely motionless. As it slowly begins moving toward him, Charlie suddenly steps into view and Craven convinces himself that it was just his imagination, a trick of exhaustion. But the moment he walks back into the classroom, he's confronted by a terrifying, ancient spirit that lunges at him and kills him on the spot. Back at Grace's house, Dean is busy joking around, but Krish decides she's had enough and chooses to leave. Ellie follows her outside and brings up the Harvest Festival happening the next day. She says it might be the last time they all get to be together like this before everyone moves on with their lives, and she really wants Krish to come. As they're leaving, Ralph hands Ellie her diabetes kit. Watching Ellie walk away, Krish begins to wonder if Ellie is even interested in guys at all. Later that night, Krish is listening to music while typing a message to Ellie, filling it with some pretty bold questions. Just then, she notices something outside her window, a figure standing on a tree. Suddenly, Ralph appears beside her, and when they both look again, the figure is gone. In her panic, Krish accidentally sends the message. She immediately freaks out, but Ellie's reply comes back completely normal, only talking about the festival the next day. Meanwhile, Grace is sitting by the pool, working on her assignment when she starts hearing strange noises. She assumes it might be Jamie, and when she looks up, she sees him turning off the lights. Suddenly, something rushes past her from behind. Thinking it's Dean trying to scare her, she brushes it off, but then someone touches her shoulder. She quickly turns around, assuming it might be Timmy. The next morning at school, an assembly is held to mourn Mr. Craven's death. The news deeply shakes both Krish and Ralph. During the assembly, Ellie notices a girl standing ahead of her, behaving strangely, almost as if something else has taken control of her. Ralph suggests that they should return the whistle to Mason's family. Krish and Ellie then drive together to Mason's house. On the way, Ellie notices Krish's tattoo and compliments it. When they arrive, they find the front door already open. As they step inside, calling out for someone, Krish notices something unusual in one of the rooms. Just then, Mason's mother, Ivy, appears and leads them into a room filled with antiques. When Krish tries to return the whistle, Ivy calmly tells her that it was never really hers to begin with. She explains that the whistle chooses people. It first found her grandson, then her, and now it has found Krish. Krish explains how Craven blew the whistle and ended up summoning death, but Ivy quickly corrects her, saying it doesn't call death, it calls your death. She explains that every person has a fixed time to die, but if someone hears the sound of this whistle, death comes early. And the most terrifying part is that when death arrives, the person's body transforms into the age they were meant to be when they died. After saying this, Ivy hands the whistle back to Krish. Outside, Ellie shrugs it off, suggesting that Ivy might have some kind of medical condition and is probably on medication. At the Harvest Festival, Ralph shows up all dressed up, spots Grace, and finally gathers the courage to confess his feelings. Grace gently turns him down, telling him he's a great person and that he'll make someone else much happier. She kisses him on the cheek and walks away. Krish, however, can't shake off the deaths of Mason and Craven, so she and Ellie decide to secretly check hospital records. They manage to pull out the files, but just then, a doctor walks in, forcing them to hide. In that tense moment, Krish realizes something horrifying. At the time of his death, Mason's body had aged into that of a 40-year-old man. She immediately reminds Ellie of what Ivy said, that a person becomes the age they were destined to be at death. Both of them realize that the danger is now hanging over everyone. They rush out to warn the others, but on the way, they run straight into Noah. And this time, Ellie doesn't hesitate even a second. She immediately starts him down. Krish, reminding Noah of the children who died because of him, joins in and beats him as well. And then both girls run off, determined to find Ralph first so they can warn everyone. Meanwhile, at the festival, Grace is trapped inside a haunted maze attraction where people in costumes keep jumping out to scare her from every direction. But then she notices something different. A strange woman just standing there, silently staring at her. Panic sets in as Grace starts running, but no matter which way she turns, the woman keeps appearing in front of her. Elsewhere in the maze, Dean is inside with a friend, while Ellie, Krish, and Ralph enter, searching for everyone. By now, Grace is completely terrified. She tries calling Dean, but he brushes it off, thinking it's just part of the game. Suddenly, the same woman appears again and strikes Grace on the head with a shovel. Grace collapses, but somehow manages to get back up and run again. Disoriented but desperate, she keeps moving until she reaches a dead end. Spotting a small crawl space, she tries to squeeze through, but the woman grabs her leg and starts pulling her back. Using all her strength, Grace breaks free and makes it to the exit bell of the maze. But the danger isn't over. The woman attacks her one final time, and right before their eyes, Grace transforms into an old woman. Moments later, Dean arrives, only to find Grace's lifeless body hanging in front of him. Later, on the school basketball court, Ellie and Krish reveal the truth about Grace's death to Ralph and Dean. But Dean refuses to believe any of it and instead blames everything on Krish, saying that ever since she showed up, everything has gone wrong. Krish tries to explain that all of them heard the whistle, which means they all unknowingly called death upon themselves. Ralph fires back, accusing Dean of being the one whose stupidity started all of this. Completely shattered, Dean breaks down and yells that Grace never even loved him. He storms off, leaving the others behind. Sitting alone on the rooftop, it hits him. He's loved her since they were kids. Lost in his emotions and intoxicated, Dean drives home, and in the driveway, he suddenly sees an injured man standing there. Startled, he blinks, and the man vanishes instantly. Meanwhile, Ellie and Krish spend time together, and Krish finally opens up about her father. She reveals how a truck suddenly appeared out of nowhere, causing an accident that took his life. Ever since then, she's blamed herself, and listening to his songs is the only way she feels close to him. Ellie listens quietly, then kisses her, reminding her that everyone carries some kind of burden inside. The two comfort each other, and that night, their bond grows even deeper. But elsewhere, Ralph begins experiencing terrifying visions of his own death. The next day, the three of them visit Ivy, who is in terrible condition, clearly on the verge of death. She explains that death cannot be called back, but its path can be changed. To do that, it has to be transferred to someone else, like a sacrifice. She makes it very clear that death can never truly be defeated. As Krish looks into a mirror, she catches a glimpse of her own death, and at that exact moment, Ivy takes her last breath. Ralph becomes convinced that Ivy was right, and a plan begins to form in his mind. Meanwhile, at home, Dean is watching the news on TV, where a report mentions a body found the previous night. The moment he realizes it's Grace, the ground seems to slip beneath his feet. Suddenly, his bedroom door creaks open on its own, and a demonic hand reaches inside. Terrified, he slams the door shut. Downstairs, his parents grow concerned, but before anything can be done, the entity emerges from his closet and grabs him. Dean was destined to die in an accident, and just like that, death forces him into it. Within moments, Dean is dead. Ellie and Krish rush to Ralph's room, where they find disturbing images, drawings that detail exactly how his death is supposed to happen. In that moment, they realize what he's planning to do, but by then, it's already too late. Ralph has already reached Noah with a gun, ready to transfer his death onto him. He corners Noah and points the gun straight at his head. Noah fights back, manages to grab the gun, and pulls the trigger, but nothing happens. Ralph already knew his death wasn't meant to come from a bullet. He knocks Noah unconscious, ties him up, and is just about to transfer the death using his blood when Ellie and Krish arrive and stop him. By then, Ralph has already forced drugs into Noah, causing him to hallucinate. Ralph mutters that everyone has to die eventually. In that moment, Krish realizes what needs to be done. But before she can act, Ralph feels it. His death has arrived. His body begins to break apart exactly the way it was destined to. Ellie and Krish try everything to save him, but it's no use. Ralph dies right in front of them. With no other choice left, Krish comes up with one final plan. Using Ellie's insulin, they decide to stop Krish's heart, essentially killing her for a short time, then bring her back using adrenaline and medication. The idea is that if she technically dies, death might let her go. In a secluded part of the hospital, they prepare everything. Krish sees her death standing right in front of her, but ignores it as she fills a bathtub with water. Ellie injects the insulin, and soon Krish's death fully manifests. She collapses into the water, beginning to drown. Ellie quickly pulls her out and desperately tries to revive her, performing CPR again and again, using a defibrillator in a frantic attempt to restart her heart. Meanwhile, Noah regains consciousness and starts searching for them, smashing through a locked shutter to get inside. At the same time, Ellie's death appears right in front of her, but she refuses to give up. Noah finally breaks in and starts firing at the machines. In her unconscious state, Krish relives every moment she shared with Ellie. She hears Ellie's voice calling her back. Drawn toward the light, she suddenly opens her eyes. She's alive, but the moment she gets up, she sees Ellie lying on the ground, shot, with death looming over her. Noah stands there in a frantic state, holding the gun, ready for revenge. But as soon as his hand touches Ellie's blood, everything changes. Ellie's death transfers onto Noah, and now his own death stands before him. Panicking, he fires at it, but the bullets ricochet back and hit him instead, killing him on the spot. 3 months later, Krish still occasionally sees glimpses of her death, but she has learned to live with it. Now, she and Ellie are together, a true couple, standing by each other no matter what. But then, at school, a new girl arrives and is assigned a locker. As soon as she opens it, she finds the same whistle inside. During a school assembly, she pulls it out in front of everyone and blows it. And with that chilling moment, the film comes to an end.